All right. So here's why I am no longer calling myself lazy and why you should not call yourself lazy anymore either. And I'll say that this is coming after I had planned on talking about this yesterday and didn't do it. And I'll tell you at the end about why that isn't lazy. So I used to call myself lazy a lot. Um, a lot of unfinished projects, a lot of goals that I didn't accomplish, um, a lot of, I guess, a lot of just reasons that I thought that I wasn't doing enough or accomplishing enough. And I would say this was probably maybe 15 or 20 years ago. So it's been a while, but it's back in my mind a little bit more lately. And I'll talk a bit more about that later too. But I'm not lazy. I'm not. And there's a pretty good chance that you're not either. When I decided to banish lazy from my self-talk vocabulary, I had 4 jobs. They were all part-time, but they were substantial, and overall, I was typically working 60 to 80 hours a week. So I was working a lot. So on one hand, right there already, that dispels the laziness myth. If you're working multiple jobs, even if they're part-time jobs, you're not lazy. The other thing is that I'm wired to constantly be doing something. So, get up, start, putzing away at something, go to work, be toiling away all day, get done with one work, go to another work, get done with that work, be putzing away, toiling at something else. So I was doing plenty. But where I was getting confused is that, and why I wasn't accomplishing my goals, is that I was the opposite of lazy. I was doing too much. And of course, I wouldn't be able to accomplish all of the things that I needed to do when I was working around the clock and still trying to have a social life and still trying to advance the career that I was actually pursuing and still try to eat decently and get in some exercise here and there and see family and do all of those things. And the other thing that I realized is that the reason that sometimes I couldn't get off the couch, or the reason that sometimes I just couldn't get myself to go to that social gathering, I just couldn't get myself to finish folding the laundry or put away my dishes, was because I was extremely overwhelmed and exhausted and burnt out. But I would tell myself, oh my God, you're so lazy. Here you are just laying on the couch. And, this wasn't like an everyday thing. And even if it were an everyday thing, that would still be fine. And so what I've been working on for decades now, and it still is difficult, and I still have to fight these thought processes, but we all need rest. We all deserve rest. And it's not laziness if you are resting. It's not laziness if you are intentionally taking downtime to be able to restore your body or to restore your mind or to restore your emotions or just to restore. And I think that it's really hard to have these conversations with ourselves because there are so many whataboutisms. There's so many different circumstances. Well, what if I've been laying around for days? Or what if I have, only have one job or only have one part-time job? And the way that I think about it is regardless of your productivity, you deserve rest and you need rest. And there's an intentionality that I think goes along with rest, or that should go along with rest, because if you're not intentional about it and you don't take it, it will catch up with you in the form of something, illness. Maybe you get really sick, or maybe you start to have insomnia, or maybe you start to have anxiety and panic attacks or whatever. Like, it will catch up with you if you're not giving yourself rest. But even if you're not grinding, even if you're not pushing so hard. You still deserve that rest. And it's not lazy if you're taking it intentionally and if you're taking it mindfully and saying, this is my way of recovering and restoring. A little caveat, and this is definitely something for another time, but there's also a difference between avoidance, which is another thing that I have challenges with sometimes. There are times when I might use rest as a way to avoid doing something that I don't want to do. And I shouldn't even use the word rest, but it's hard to differentiate. But what I'll say is that if the activity that you're doing to avoid doing something else were truly rest, then you wouldn't have to be thinking about that. You wouldn't have to be in the back of your mind worrying about it, which is also not restful. If in the back of your mind, when you're laying down to take a nap, or when you're listening to that thing on YouTube, or when you're, play video games or going for a stroll, if in the back of your mind you're perseverating on all of the things that you should be doing, then you're also not resting. In that case, you are avoiding. And so I think it's really important to and that also comes down to that intentionality. If you're not intentional about it, if you're just like, doom scrolling, or sort of, video game addicted or something, and doing those things, you're not actually resting and relaxing, you're avoiding. But when you're choosing and saying, I am taking this time to relax, I am taking this time to myself, I am taking this time to heal or recover or bounce back from whatever efforts and labors that you have recently done, that is truly rest, because there's nowhere else that you're supposed to be. There's nowhere else that you should be. You are exactly where you're supposed to be, doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing intentionally. So please don't call yourselves lazy anymore. Chances are you're not lazy. And I know that I'm not lazy. And even the times when I'm taking a nap, or laying on the couch watching videos, or just doing whatever I'm doing, I'm not lazy. Or even if it's, I had a goal to work out and I didn't, I'm not lazy. I'm probably overwhelmed. I'm probably distracted. I'm probably any number of other things, but I know that I'm not lazy.